following is a feature presentation of the Replay Sports Channel, the home for great games.
Welcome to WFL Inside Access, exclusively on the Replay Sports Channel. I'm your host, Glenn Walker. Today's episode is brought to you by Royal Retros, your ultimate one-stop shop representing the teams of the past. Head over to Royal Retros today, www.royalretros.com, and use the discount code REPLAY to get 10% off your purchase. The link provided in the show description. We kick off our 2025 season preview with a look at the Eastern Division. The Inside Access crew takes a look at each club and makes some bold predictions for the season ahead.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise to bring you the essential knowledge for what promises to be a really electrifying WFL 2025 season. Our mission today is pretty laser-focused, a deep dive into the American Conference East Division. We've pulled insights directly from the WFL Inside Access Show 2025 season preview. Think of this as your personal shortcut, really, to being truly well-informed about all the crucial changes, the surprising moves, and yeah, some bold predictions for these 5 teams. And it's particularly interesting in this division, because we're seeing 2 new head coaches right here, among the 5 new coaches league-wide.
Exactly. And our goal is really to help you connect the dots. It's not just about what happened in the offseason, but, why these significant roster shifts and coaching changes actually matter. You're going to hear a fascinating array of varying predictions for each team, offering a really comprehensive and sometimes even contradictory view of how this division might shake out.
Okay. Let's unpack this then, starting with the Baltimore Scallions. They've made quite the splash, haven't they? Relocating from Barcelona after that 4-10 record last season, finished 4th in the Europa Division. And taking the reins is new head coach Liam Cohen, formerly Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator. He's now, calling all the shots for a team that really struggled, league-worst offense last year.
Which is odd because they also had the second-ranked passing offense, strangely enough. Defensively, they ranked 18th versus the run, 15th against the pass. So with Cohen there now, what's the single most transformative move they've made? What signals this new era?
Oh, the defining move has got to be that stunning trade with San Antonio, getting the #1 overall pick, right? And using it to draft USC signal caller Caleb Williams. But what's really strategic here is the plan. Veteran QB Matthew Stafford, he threw for 3,750 yards, 21 touchdowns, 61% completion last year. He'll start the season. And this allows Williams that crucial time to learn the system without just immense pressure right away. It's a calculated risk, yeah, but one that often pays off long-term in this league. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, diving into the rest of that offense then. They're clearly aiming for an improved running game, right? With Zach Charbonnet splitting carries with veteran Saquon Barkley. Barkley had, 137 carries, 602 yards, 3 TDs last year. The team did enter the offseason slightly over the cap, which means they'll need to get creative, especially with wide receivers. And half of Baltimore's draft picks went to the offensive line. Guard Kevin Dotson, tackle Deion Dawkins. They're looking to anchor that unit. So given their cap situation and the need for receivers, how does this heavy O-line focus fit Cohen's vision?
Well, it really speaks to a commitment, doesn't it? Establishing a ground game, protecting the quarterback. That's foundational for any offense.
Yeah.
Especially one that eventually aims to bring in a high-profile rookie QB. And then on defense, Cohen's making a big philosophical shift, moving from a 4-3 to a 3-4 scheme. They've got key players like Kayvon Thibodeau, who's got that great flexibility DE or outside linebacker. And they brought in free agent safety Jimmy Ward to bolster a secondary that, already has Darius Slay and Devin Witherspoon.
Right, solid group back there.
Yeah. And, quick note on special teams. Matt Prater is out, and they've got a 5th-round pick, Joshua Carty, stepping in.
Okay, so a lot of aggressive overhauls happening there. Karen Mitchell, senior sports columnist at the Baltimore Sun, she seems pretty bullish on them. She states, "The Stallions have built one of the most balanced rosters in the league heading into 2025. With QB Matthew Stafford entering his 16th season and the league's young up-and-coming defense returning nearly intact, it's hard to bet against Baltimore. Coach Liam Cohen looks to instill a winning culture that finally feels ready to dominate the division." What's her basis for that level of confidence, do you think? especially with a new scheme and a rookie QB waiting in the wings.
Well, she's clearly seeing that blend, that veteran leadership in Stafford, young talent on defense, the whole balance concept likely refers to having a proven quarterback manage the game while the D finds its footing in the new scheme. And then, of course, there's the potential of Williams down the line. It's definitely an optimistic outlook, banking on the sum of their parts being greater than the individual transitions.
So, for you listening, what's the biggest takeaway from Baltimore's aggressive new start? Is it the immediate impact of Stafford, maybe? Or is it that long-term promise of Williams? Sets up a really fascinating narrative, doesn't it? All right, let's pivot now to the DC Defenders. The rebranded team from the nation's capital, they actually qualified for the playoffs on the very last day of the 2024 season, that Sunday night win over division rivals New York. But that joy was overshadowed by that late-game knee injury to Rookie of the Year QB C.J. Stroud. Led to a close 16-13 wildcard loss to Paris. But the good news, Stroud is back, he's ready. This really feels like the year of the sophomore QB for them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's really driving that optimism around Stroud and this offense?
Well, I mean, their 2024 offensive numbers, they kind of speak volumes about where they needed to improve, right? 18th ranked offense overall, 19th in rushing. And this stat, it's almost unfathomable in this league.
Huh.
The Defenders only scored one rushing touchdown all of last season, just one.
Yeah.
That must have put immense pressure on Stroud. So now they've brought in a new offensive coordinator, Jamie Rivera. He's implementing a fast-tempo spread offense, really designed to maximize Stroud's talents. Plus, they've added talent. Rome Odunze from Washington to the receiving corps, and late-round draft pick center Cooper Beebe and tackle Troy Fatanu to help out up front.
Okay. And on defense, they finished just outside the top 10 last season, bolstered by veterans like DL Cam Hayward, linebacker Fred Warner. Aiden Hutchinson led the team in sacks, 11 last year. They did lose safety Justin Reed to Pittsburgh in free agency, which is, worth noting. So with Stroud's health and this new offensive tempo, how much pressure does that put on this veteran defense? Does it need to perform at an even higher level?
Yeah, it often does. A fast-tempo offense usually means the defense is on the field more often, right? So their depth and consistency become even more critical. David Lynn, sports analyst for the Washington Post, has a very, very confident prediction for the Defenders, he says. Washington's rebuild is over, with new offensive coordinator Jamie Rivera bringing a fast-tempo spread offense and second-year QB C.J. Stroud showing serious growth in camp. This is the Defenders' year. Their veteran defensive core, led by linebacker Fred Warner, is one of the best in the East. The Stallions may be the favorites, but Washington is ready to unseat them. He actually claims the rebuild is over. Is that a bold claim, or is there some genuine transformation happening?
That is a pretty strong statement to make, yeah. What specific aspects of their offseason, maybe beyond just Stroud's return, do you think gives Lynn that conviction that the rebuild is truly behind them?
Well, I think it's the confluence of factors, really. A healthy Stroud, obviously.
Yeah.
The new offensive scheme that seems tailored to his strengths, and just the continued strength of that defensive core. Lynn is basically betting that these pieces, when you put them together, create a synergy that lifts them into, true contention.
Okay, next up, the New Jersey Hitmen, another team that's relocated, moving from Toronto this time. They brought in Aaron Glenn, formerly the defensive coordinator for Las Vegas, as their 8th head coach. New Jersey is really looking for a defensive identity under Glenn. How much of a clean slate is this for a team that struggled so much last year, especially, offensively?
A complete clean slate offensively might be a bit of an overstatement. I mean, they ranked dead last in total offense last season. It was a real quarterback carousel, wasn't it? You had Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, who then left to be Patrick Mahomes' backup in Pittsburgh, and Gardner Minshew, who came over from Birmingham. Coach Glenn has made it clear, though, Herbert will be his starting quarterback. But the real challenge here, I think, is the running game. Their top rusher, Joe Mixon, he gained just 305 yards on 110 carries. Yeah. And 4th-round pick, Tyrone Tracy Jr. from Purdue, he looks like he'll be running back number 2.
Okay. Shifting to defense then. This unit was actually a top 7 defense last season, but free agency nearly, the report says dismantled it in the offseason. But they still have key players, like defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence anchoring the line, Jared Verse providing leadership at linebacker, and cornerback Patrick Surtain, who has that 10 rating, making it incredibly tough to pass against them. So, can Glenn's reputation for building disciplined defenses truly overcome those departures, especially if the offense just remains stalled?
That really is the million-dollar question for New Jersey, isn't it? Maria Santos, she's the WFL beat reporter for the Newark Star-Ledger. She offers this prediction for the Hitmen. The Hitmen are flying under the radar, but that won't last. After signing players at key positions on defense and beefing up the O-line in free agency, this team has the potential to look dangerous. Head coach Aaron Glenn has turned this team into a disciplined, hard-nosed squad. Watch for New Jersey to surprise everyone and take the East.
Santis is really banking on Glenn's disciplined approach there. Is this a classic coach can fix everything narrative, maybe?
Yes.
Or is there genuine substance behind her optimism for that defense?
Well, like you said, there's that tension, right, between their past offensive struggles and this new defensive-first focus.
Right.
So for the listener trying to gauge this team, which side of that coin do you think ultimately defines their season? Is it a potentially elite defense, or is it a still developing offense?
My gut says it'll likely be the defense's ability to create turnovers, get short fields, consistently giving the offense opportunities.
Yeah, if they can flip possessions and maybe score defensively sometimes, they won't necessarily need an elite offense to be dangerous.
Oh, and special teams note here, too. Cam Little, a fifth-round pick from Arkansas, is replacing Greg Zuerlein at kicker.
Good to know. Okay, let's talk about the New York Generals now. Finished a disappointing 4-10 last season, despite, well, all the hype around drafting quarterback Bryce Young, who was sacked an alarming 52 times. The Generals were all hype last year, felt like it quickly turned to just hope. What's Coach Dan Quinn's biggest adjustment to prevent a repeat performance? That kind of pressure on his young QB.
Well, his response was pretty decisive, wasn't it? 4 of New York's draft picks last spring were dedicated to the offensive line. That's a statement. They also brought in center Bradley Bozeman from St. Louis in free agency to help anchor that unit. So that's a clear commitment to protecting Young. And what's also notable is that GM Jeremy McDonald still has some room under the cap. He could still make moves as the season gets closer. Interesting. Okay, on offense, looks like the running game will once again be kind of by committee in 2025. Zach Moss led the team last year, 119 carries, 401 yards, 4 TDs. And with wide receiver Devontae Adams exploring free agency again, New York used their first pick in the draft to take LSU wideout Malik Neighbors, trying to give Young more weapons. But if the O-line improvements don't translate quickly, are they just trading one problem for another? I mean, still not enough time for Young, even with new targets.
That's definitely a valid concern, yeah. However, their defense was a consistent bright spot, ranked in the league's top 5 in total defense in 2024. That's pretty stout. Micah Parsons has a new deal to stay in Gotham. He'll be primarily used as an edge rusher. Leo Channel has that great versatility middle or outside linebacker. And cornerback Sauce Gardner will certainly patrol the no-fly zone of the New York secondary. So this top-tier defense can absolutely take some pressure off a developing offense.
All right, give him some breathing room. Travis McMillan, football columnist for the New York Daily News, he has a very optimistic prediction. The Generals might have gone 4-10 last season, but they lost 4 games by 1 score. Add in dual-threat rookie QB Bryce Young, who's been electric in preseason workouts, and you've got a breakout candidate. New York finally has the offensive weapons to keep up with Baltimore and Washington. This is the Generals' time. He points to those close losses as a sign of potential. Does that statistic really signal a breakthrough, or could it just be, a symptom of a young team figuring things out?
Well, the one-score losses definitely suggest they were competitive, right? But maybe lacked those critical plays at key moments. McMillan's optimism really hinges on the belief that improved O-line play plus Young's development will be the difference makers, turning those close losses into wins. It's a compelling argument, for sure, and it highlights their potential to quickly flip their trajectory if those things click.
So for New York, it really sounds like their path to success hinges almost entirely on Bryce Young taking a significant step forward behind that revamped line. How much pressure is truly on that young quarterback this season?
Oh, immense pressure. Absolutely immense. He's basically the fulcrum on which their entire season will pivot, I think.
Yeah. And finally, let's conclude our division dive with the Philadelphia Stars. Formerly the London Knights, right? They're returning to the States, setting up shop in Philly. Head coach Sean Payton is still at the helm. He led the then Knights to an impressive 11-3 record last year, putting them just 1 game away from hosting the Pantheon Bowl. So the Stars were already a force last season. What's their strategy for 2025? Is it mostly continuity, or are they making subtle enhancements to push them over the top?
Intriguingly, it feels like mostly continuity, despite some big names being added to the QB room. Even though they acquired Justin Fields from Los Angeles and drafted Drake May from North Carolina in the 2nd round, Derek Carr is poised to be their starter for 2025. Last season, Carr completed almost 70% of his passes, 69.7% for over 4,500 yards and 33 touchdowns. So the decision to stick with Carr, for now anyway, despite those other options, it really speaks volumes about Peyton's confidence in his system and, well, Carr's fit within it, and he'll have a very strong returning supporting cast. Christian McCaffrey at running back, Drake London at receiver. That's potent.
Yeah, definitely. And on defense, the Stars were just formidable, ranking 3rd last season overall. Key players like defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons and Joey Bosa looked to lock down that front 7. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who was a real late-round steal in last season's draft, he'll lead a secondary group that ranked 4th against the pass.
Right.
So with a defense that strong and an offense that's proven it can move the ball effectively, what's the biggest X factor for them for actually reaching that Pantheon Bowl goal this season?
Maybe their biggest X factor is simply avoiding complacency. Being that good, sometimes that's the hardest part. Lena Brooks, senior WFL correspondent for the Philadelphia Inquirer, she offers this prediction. People forget that the Stars had the best turnover differential in the division last year. They've added veteran leadership on both sides of the ball and returned most of their key starters. If QB Derek Carr stays healthy, Philly has the most complete team in the East. Expect a strong playoff push and maybe more.
She specifically mentions turnover differential. How critical is that single stat to their consistent success, especially when you're playing against other top teams fighting for the same prize?
Oh, it's huge. Winning the turnover battle consistently takes pressure off the offense, sets up scores, demoralizes opponents. It's often the difference in close games against good teams.
That's a great point. So what stands out to you listening right now about the Stars' potential? Is it their proven consistency and that really deep roster? Or maybe are there hidden vulnerabilities despite their strong resume that might be overlooked? Something to think about. Well, what a fascinating deep dive into the WFL American East. We've got new homes, new coaches, high-stakes quarterback battles, and some truly, truly robust defensive units across the board. The amount of change is actually kind of staggering when you look at it all together, and the expectations are just sky high for several of these teams.
Yeah, and zooming out a bit, what we've really seen is a division where multiple teams have made legitimate claims to contention. This isn't just off-season hype. These feel like calculated moves. It really sets up what could be the most thrilling divisional race in the entire WFL this year. The rebuilds are over, as one analyst put it, and it feels like it's time for these teams to actually deliver.
That's a really compelling thought. And given all these significant coaching shifts, the high-stakes quarterback situations, and these bold predictions we've heard for both dark horses and established favorites, which single factor, maybe a new coach's philosophy, maybe a breakout sophomore QB like Stroud, or perhaps a totally revamped offensive line like New York's, which one do you think will ultimately prove most decisive?
You've been listening to the WFL Inside Access Show. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. On our next episode, the 2025 season preview continues with a look at the North Division. See you next time.